Hello there. Let's have a little chat about how our mainstream broadcast media can actually put its foot on the scales a little bit when it comes to election outcomes. Because we can look at the demographics and statistical data around who listens and ingests media in what ways, and how that has an effect on voting because of who goes out and votes. And it's one of the reasons why you end up with a headline like this proclaiming that Winston Peters is in Parliament now, even though we didn't have the election yet, so therefore this is clearly an inaccurate headline. But that sensationalizing of media is a really important way that news outlets get eyeballs on screens. You see, research shows that the more sensationalistic a headline is, the much more likely it is that your audience is going to stick around to watch more of what it is that you're producing. And the audiences that we have watching these broadcast linear media outputs, they tend to be over the age of 55. You see, research done by New Zealand On Air showcased how different demographics ingest their news information. For those over the age of 55, linear broadcast was the number one way that they did that. For those under the age of 40, it tended to be online through more self directed information that they're getting themselves. Now, we also know that this is very much the audience for both TVNZ and something like News Talk ZB, which touts itself as the most listened to commercial radio station out there. And it clearly has a right wing bent to it when you sit down and listen to somebody like Mike Hosking, Heather Duplessis Allen, or Kerry Woodham, or Kate Hawkes, but you get it, right leaning, very right leaning. But if you take a look at the demographic breakdown of who listens to radio under the age of 40, News Talk is ranked ninth out of 15 different radio stations. It's not hitting that youth audience, and neither is television for exactly the same reasons. So when you see a news headline going, oh, yeah, let's do something sensational, that's aimed very specifically at that older demographic who, which we've seen based on data from previous elections, are far more likely to get out there and vote. Which is really interesting. If you do a national breakdown, for example, the number of people who are eligible to vote over the age of 55 makes up 28.1% of the population. But those aged between 18 and 40, they make up 34.3% of the population. There's more of them. There's more voting power there if they were to actually put it into action. And if we look at this research that was done by The Guardian a couple of days ago, it showcases really specifically that those older voters, the ones over the age of 55, are much more likely to go out and vote for somebody like Winston Peters than those under the age of 40. That's why a sensationalistic headline like this about Winston Peters is aimed really specifically at a group of people who are much more likely to go out and vote, and therefore has a much stronger influence in what that potential outcome is going to be. And the only way to counter that is going to be to get out there and vote on October 14, especially if you're under the age of 40.